What up, Vivi?
Hello. Hi, guys. Hi, Spencer. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. It's been too long.
I know.
I had to talk to you about the Biogen thing. So
Oh, yeah.
I had to come on. I had to get your take on the FDA approval of Biogen's aducanumab drug from earlier in the week. Let's just start right there, Vivi. I want to hear your thoughts on this because it seems like it's a very controversial thing.
The voting, it was overwhelmingly against it, right? And just because they didn't think that the drug was not the greatest efficacy, and I think that FDA felt compelled to approve because it's been 18 years since a drug has not been approved for Alzheimer's. But here's what we're gonna do. That's gonna open a can of worms to a lot of new drugs coming out, and FDA big pressure to approve these drugs or being lawsuits and companies, what I heard that two people resigned, out of those 10 people or 11 people that said no against like one people, two people resigned no, they went on protest. So I feel like that's going to open a can of worms, to be honest with you, with the future approvals, coming up.
Yeah, and what it was approved for, like as I understand it, it wasn't approved to quote unquote like treat Alzheimer's in any way. It was approved to like slow the spread of
the progression or just the symptom, slow the progression. Yeah, I don't think and there's no drugs out there that actually I sold Exelon patch, which was for Alzheimer's, with the Novartis, and is also to slow down the progression of disease. So there's nothing there that will be, okay, let's cure Alzheimer's and let reverse all the damage, because it is a neurological disease. So you're not gonna find anything that's actually gonna cure. Maybe you could find something that's actually going to prevent, but I don't think you're ever going to find anything that's going to cure. So, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it, because it has opened. I'm not going to, it's funny because they had a opening for this job, but I'm not gonna buy the stock because I think it's risky, but I think it should be in everyone's watch list. If you can pull it up for me, it's CCXI.
CCXI. Yeah, that's one I remember.
So CCXI, I mean, look at the drop, right? Because there was an AdCom meeting was not in favor of it. It was 8 against 10. It was, let me see. I think it was it was like a margin of like a 2 or 3 in terms of approval, and they now people are like, okay, this is a kind of a rare disease, and we had this huge dive. The AdCom meeting was a much more favorite in favor of this company, even though there was like they lost by 2, I think. So not lost. I think it was 8 positive and 2 said no on the AdCom. And they it dropped tremendously because of the outcome. But I got a global news talking about the abstract for avacopan and ANCA-associated vasculitis, and it was one of the best 10 abstracts at the Congress. So now people are really, really, hopeful that one approval, because the PDUFA is coming up soon, that's a highly chance to approve it because what happened to Biogen, right? So I think like Biogen and that approval has opened a can of worms for a lot of companies now, because they're going to be like, okay, Alzheimer's is a very important disease, but what about these rare diseases? I don't think it's going to change if it's an antibiotic, or if it is a cardiovascular drug, or like a low cholesterol. I don't think that's going to matter. But if you come in with a rare disease, and the data might not be flawless, but there is some kind of a help, even with the outcome meeting now, these companies are probably, you can even like do lawsuits. Like, how come based on that data for the Alzheimer's, you approve this, and how come you're not approving our drug? So I think they open a can of worms, to be honest. But I would have put this drug on a radar. They were interviewing for a launch. And even though they had like bad outcomes when it comes to the meeting, if you look at it, I mean, the upside potential can be huge. So I would have definitely be on the lookout for the approval date and then trade it the day of approval. I would not buy it beforehand.
Do we know when that's coming?
Let me see. Do you have the calendar like handy? If you put it, because you guys have the FDA calendar.
I'm getting it up.
You getting? So yeah, it's coming up. It's soon. So I'm definitely have that on my radar, because look at what happened to Biogen. You could have day traded that stock and it still made a lot of money. So not necessarily you guys need to buy before PDUFA to make a profit. So I think you just needed to be aware of what the dates of approvals are. And then you put a damn alert on your phone, like if you see going up 5%, 7%, So
this is here, let me
look at the outcome over here.
Yeah, so it looks like just for the first half of the year. Wait, we're almost done with the first half of the year.
Yeah, so it should be coming up anytime. So the March, did you see the dive?
Oh wait, no. What does that say? That says July 7th. That's what that says. Oh no, that's an NDA for. Is that? No, that's
no. Is the PDUFA should be July 7th then?
No. That's something different. Looks like there's a no. I don't know. We don't have it.
Okay, so they had the outcome meeting.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. PDUFA date. I misread that. July 7th.
Okay, July 7th. So definitely I would have put that on my radar for sure, because that could be a nice opportunity. Look at the potential. It was $60 stock. That thing can just jump like 300-fold the day if it gets approved.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily buy before approval because it's too risky for me. But I think that's a huge potential one to approve, because the outcome meeting was more favorable than the one in Biogen. So that's what I'm saying. I think Biogen has opened a can of worms when it comes to what drugs are going to be approved. What is the criteria now?
Yeah. And speaking of that can of worms, it wasn't even approval. It was conditional approval, right? Because Biogen's got to do another trial, right? They've got to do a phase 4 trial.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Did you see the stock went up like I wasn't even like, because it's such an expensive stock, and every time you see an approval with Novartis, with AstraZeneca, you usually see like, I don't know, $15 share improvement. I mean, look at the difference there. It was like it went all the way to 400, I think.
Yes, it did.
It was nuts. But do you want to?
It's over 400 still. So
yeah, it is over 400. Oh yeah, 421. Holy moly! And look at that. It was 260 something. So almost a $200. That's for me. It's completely overpriced at this point. But the drug is gonna cost $56,000. That is why.
Yeah, they got the whole market to themselves.
$56,000 per patient a year. So speaking of a $56,000 per patient a year, one drug that's super expensive, and that's why I think we're doing really well. Can you put it on the screen? BCRX. And before we get to BCRX, some people are asking on a chat. I need to be motivated to get my YouTube channel, but people are often asking me, how do you usually choose companies, and why, why do you, how can you find companies that have that much of, I alerted this at a 450. Look at this right now. And Jason must be happy because he bought it right on one of my first shows. So people ask, so here's a few factors I would do in order to invest in a company. There is very few times I'll make an exception, and I'll do one that's still in the phase 1 and 2, just if I think it's a really, really rare disease. And what I do is I will buy like 4,000 shares at $2 of a certain stock because I believe in a company. And then I will look for, if I believe that they have a really rare disease, I'll wait until they have a catalyst. And then when the catalyst, if the stock price goes up, I'll sell half of it and then wait for them to do an offering, whatever. The company is going to go down, and then I buy back again. The reason I don't hold long-term a full position, I would have never got, yes, I do have a regrets. Would have been nice if I got 20,000 shares of BCRX at 450. I had to accumulate because once I saw it was the risk, I start buying more. But the reason is you don't want to buy something that is not close to commercialization because it's going to be, they're going to need to raise funds to raise capital to fund their studies. So I will look at institutional ownership. That's going to be one of the one of my criterias. I'll look for how much cash they have in hand. So I love buying companies that are just finishing offering. And I look usually 6 months before commercialization. So, if I feel confident, like I have with ARDX, BCRX, KMPH, that it's going to be approved, I'll hold full position through approval. If not, I will probably just do the run up, leave some money that my initial investment, I take it out and leave the balance to that. So again, so it's going to be how much money they have left, how far out they are with their studies, what institutional ownership. So it says a lot. Like, for example, BCRX has 75% ownership institution. ARDX, if you can put ARDX next, it has 85% institutional ownership. And what is my criteria to hold it through PDUFA? So BCRX, the reason it's doing so well is a very expensive drug for a rare disease, HAE, and it took over a injection. It's taken over market share from Takeda's injection for HAE. So it's a really kind of a special kind of drug, and it's really addressing an unmet need, right? So that's why I decided to invest in BCRX, and they had a $300 million in cash because I invested right after offering. And and I'm sorry, we moved already charts, but I'll tell you guys why BCRX is going to do so well and it's going to be 2025 by summer is they're supposed to do $2.7 million in profit for Q1 with their launch, and access right now for physicians is really hard. But BCRX has the type of a drug that it sells itself, right? Because it's competition from the injection. They did $10 million in sales, so they blew their earnings out of the water. And so for Q2, I'm expecting they're going to do the same, right? And then they have this amazing factor D pipeline. So their study for PNH, they did so well that they skipped to phase 2 and went straight to phase 3. So they're going to have a product by the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. And my price target for BCRX is $100 in 3 years. 3 to 4 years, I think, will be $100 stock. So with ARDX, it got delayed. So my plans with ARDX was to get the PDUFA in April and then put all my money in the next stock I'm going to talk to you guys about. But it didn't work that well. They delayed because they had to submit it, one piece of the label, and they were kind of late. But they resubmitted. So I know people that work in this company, they're just waiting for this drug to be approved, which July 29th is the PDUFA. It can come anytime. I'm fully disclosing here that the reason I'm holding this full is a second indication. So safety is out of the way, right? Second indication. That's why I feel very positive that we'll get approved. So that would be it for ARDX. My price target's like $12 a share. So I think we can get that by approval date. And then the next one that I was going to take all my proceeds and put in there, and I alerted you guys when it was only 2 something, is SESN. So hopefully you guys bought it before me because I just purchased today for $4. So I purchased today, actually it was $380, I think. They have approval date in August. I thought I had time to accumulate. They have a drug that it's going to be, it's going to be urologists usually treat it, but it's to treat it cancer, but it's not going to be needed to go to cancer center. So I posted on my Twitter, 75% of the urologists said that they would love to be able to give the infusion to their patients, because I don't think it's infusion. That's why they're not sending out to the cancer centers. So I am not, it looks very favorable for approval. I'm not too sure if I would hold full until approval date, but I think we have a lot of room to grow until then. So I might just take some money off the table just to say to secure my investment. So that would be this. And then if you can put another one up, that it's going to be super, super confusing because very similar is SE and S. So SENS, I alerted you guys when I bought $2 calls for this. I bought calls a long time ago before this bump, probably like 3 months ago, about really cheap calls. And I'm going to be converting these calls because I do believe this company is going to get bought out sometime. Roche Diagnostic owns 11% of this company. This company right now has an approved device. So you put on the kids under the skin for parents from their smartphones to be able to see how their kids are doing in school with their blood glucose. So it's a glucose monitor, and they're waiting for approval in July for the 180 days. And they just had some Stella data talking about the efficacy of this. And so now it's already approved in Europe. So you don't have to be switching that implant every 90 days. It will be every 180 days. So I think by approval we'll see 7. So I think we still have almost 100% upside from now. But I'm converting my $2 calls because I believe this can be a huge potential drug, and it can be a multi-bagger for sure. So I am converting my calls. And then let's celebrate KMPH. Can we? Spencer, Jason bought that one too. I don't know. Do I have Rohan or we have? So I alerted to you guys around $7. So gave you guys 100% profits right here. They got paid with their milestone payments. They are launching the drug in July. I'll be honest, I'm even surprised we've seen this upside before the launch, but it's a low float stock. So no wonder why it's low float. No wonder why it's doing so well. But I believe my price target for KMPH is $30 a share. And I'm hoping that if we have a successful launch, we can achieve that. So that would be my only, obviously my buy price is $7. So I think I have wiggle room to have some kind of a risk. But for those that wanted to get in, you might want to maybe wait for how the launch is going to be, how successful they're going to be able to take market shares of Adderall and Vyvanse. But I do believe that this company has a bright future. And they also have an Alzheimer's drug medication, and they're initiating the next news for this company. They're initiating their trial in 2021, at mid of 2021. So should be any minute that they would announce that they're initiating for, I think, substance abuse. They're initiating trials. It says June of 2021, or it said half of 2021. So that would be another one. And I'm sorry, I talk a lot about these holds because I do feel like they still have a potential, right? Or I wouldn't stop talking about them. Do we have any questions for me? Oh, the first question I saw, I haven't read anything, is CVM. CVM has a huge potential. I like CVM a lot. And their float is relatively small. So CVM. So I wouldn't be surprised that the price target it's 100 to 120. That's amazing. I know there's catalyst coming soon. Thanks for the reminder. There's a company that it's been under my radar. I will take a little more close DD on it, and I'll let you guys know on my next show. Do we have any questions?
All right. Let's see. Folks, you've been dropping your tickers. All right, right off the bat, ORPH.
Yeah, somebody was asking me that. Do we have news? Can you check? It's insane. Look at that.
Yeah, it had a big move today.
Yeah. So I know the float was not that big. It was a 30 million float. So that gives you the,
got
but
halted a couple times.
yeah, it did. So what did they say? Any news at all?
Shares are trading higher, not seeing company specific news to explain volatility.
Oh,
Interesting.
okay. So probably a huge short squeeze. You put a mixture of a high short interest rate with a small float. What do you get?
Exactly.
But I'll be honest with you guys. I was looking to short it, and I look at it to see if they have a puts, and they don't have any puts. I was really bummed out. So if it's going up with no reason, that would be a great opportunity to buy some puts to short this stock. It's so my only explanation for you guys is high short interest, small float, combination of those major short squeeze. So don't be caught on that for sure. I would definitely not be caught up if there's no news, not to be caught.
Oh yeah, it looks like it's already on its way down. So
yeah,
we'll see.
It's just. I mean, and again, who buys it at 55 and doesn't sell? You know what I mean? Like, who holds that with no news? I wanted to know what is is the people that are chasing or people that are like FOMO, the people that buy at the top, like with no news, with no fundamentals behind it.
That's
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's the GME effect right there. People think it's just going to keep going.
I guess, yeah, maybe.
All right. Yeah, Jared in the chat, it's all FOMO, which is very much the case. Lots of people are going to lose some money, and hopefully they learn something from it.
Yeah.
Okay. Have we touched on? We haven't touched on SRNE today, have we?
No, somebody on Twitter. SRNE. I mean, I'm still holding. I feel like the pipeline looks awesome. I was holding a bag for a while because I bought it back so many times, and my average is $7. So it's one of those companies that I'm just sitting and waiting on my IRA because we saw 20 before, and I think we're gonna see 20 again. So it's just a matter of time. And I like the pipeline. So they're getting closer and closer to actually an actual product. And the reason that, again, why do you invest so early? Because they had all these COVID. For me, it became a COVID stock. Once I learned not to hold anything long-term that doesn't have a commercialization. However, though, they do have a company that produces a revenue, with their Lycodin patch. So they have, and they also own another company, lab, like 30% that also makes revenue. So, this company, I think it's solid in regards to cash flow. So.
Okay, awesome. And Diamond Hands are forever in the chat. No need to badmouth GME. I'm not necessarily badmouthing GME. I'm just saying the effects of what happened is giving people a little bit too much confidence.
I heard that GME though, they had a earnings better than they expect, and I guess they're reinventing themselves. I know GameStop is not just like you go there to pick up your CD. They're doing a lot of things online. So I hope they survive, but I know what you mean. It's the high short interest, it takes several days for people to actually cover. So a short squeeze doesn't happen in one day. It happens in several days.
And phases,
that's why people are holding AHT right now, and people are holding IVR. I have IVR. They're not bios, but people believe that there's going to be multiple days of short squeeze, because IVR has a really, really high short squeeze, a short interest as well. So
has it happened with I thought it was going to happen with, like, this is also not bio, but I thought it was going to happen with Workhorse because it had something like 40% short interest.
Yeah, but I mean, it went up. I'm holding Workhorse right now. So, it's ups and downs. The interest is still very high. And, it's just, you have to just continue the pressure. I feel like it will, it got to 17 or $18 and then it dropped down. So but look what happened to AMC, right? AMC.
Oh yeah. AMC is not done, I don't think, though.
No, it's not done. But remember how AMC was, if you look at the 1 year chart, it went down after that huge up and then it recovered. So it's not done, but the shorts are winning right now for a little bit.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go back to some bios. Let's see.
It's already 12:01. I don't know if what's next, but go ahead if you have more questions.
Yeah, I mean, if you have time, you're free to run it. I think we just have a replay up next, so it's not too big of a deal. Let's see. ICPT, someone was asking about.
Intercept Pharma, didn't they had a failed flop on their NASH drug? This stock is to be, oh my God, look at the year. This stock's to be like $100 something. Everyone is trying to grab. Everyone is trying to grab. It's like $80. I used to own Intercept. Everyone's trying to grab the NASH business, and I think that their NASH drugs failed their studies, and that's why the dump. I don't know. And somebody asked me to cover Blue as well. So
how do you spell it? Which one's
that? Blue, BLUE. Bluebird, I think, has a huge.
Just literally Blue. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's
Bluebird is to be a $12 billion market cap company, and it has lost. Look how much it has lost. If you look at the chart, look how much it has lost its value. Some people are in at a $95 a share. So in February, they had that huge drop. I think 50% drop. Because of they halted the studies for sickle cell disease, their gene therapy, and now the FDA just gave the go ahead 3 days ago. So that's why you see the bump back, and they are they're reading 3 phase 3 trial studies tomorrow. Again, for me, it's too high of a gamble to hold it through phase 3 trials, but it would be something I would have put on my watch list for tomorrow, because we might see a huge bump and be able to buy it. But look at the upside potential. If we do have some, one, they unhalted the trials for the gene therapy. So, and two, because what happened was the FDA thought that gene therapy was causing other cancers, and they were able to identify that it wasn't that gene therapy from Bluebird that was causing cancer. So it's back on trial. So I feel like we have 100% upside here for Bluebird, but I would wait tomorrow to see what the phase 3 studies will tell us, because they're gonna read it two phase 3 trials tomorrow, if that makes sense.
All right, makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. How many more questions do you want to do? I think we got a couple in the chat.
A couple more.
All right, let's do 2 more.
Okay.
Why is ATOS down on good news? Do you know?
Because if even with the PDUFA, what was the news? Show me.
Let's see. I'm not totally sure. Let's see.
Well, how about reviews final Wednesday? It reviews final data for breast cancer trial.
Yeah, that could be it for sure.
Yeah. Why is it down, guys? Because everyone sells the news. A lot of day traders get in and they get out. They don't want to hold anything. It might be a potential multi-bagger company. So my advice to you guys is I always sell half on the news and then buy back, because it's just sell the news. Nothing's holding on this market, especially now with the reports of inflation. And did the market bounce any? How is this pie doing today? Did it bounce anything or no?
Let's check it out. I have not been looking at SPY or the market at all today.
Okay. Yeah, it's been steady. Yeah, so they had a report on, there's a lot of fear of inflation, CPI reports. So yeah, people are gonna sell the news, and that's what's gonna happen. For example, ARDX, I'm gonna sold my full position once FDA approves, because it's gonna dump everything, probably another 20-30% dump until they can prove that they can launch the drug successfully. So unless you don't want to pay taxes and you just, believe that a company is going to be $50 one day, you just hold. One company I don't trade in and out is BCRX because the fluctuation in price is very minimum. It goes up $1 and down $1 and never goes down that much. And because it's heavily owned by institutions, there's not a lot of room in the float and nobody's selling. Everyone is accumulating. So yeah, that would anybody one more or no?
Let's do one more. Let's see. Oh, we already discussed Sense. Just go back a little bit, Chintan. Eton, have we talked about that today?
No, Eton has had a PDUFA date coming. What happened to that PDUFA? And it's for alcohol poisoning. Like if people ingest, one drug they sold to someone else, and the other one is for alcohol poisoning, ethanol poisoning. I don't see a huge market for that, and I think there's not a lot of drugs out there. So for that price, I would have just put my money in ARDX. I wouldn't put my money into Eton. That's my humble opinion. So
makes sense. Yeah, even in the chat, people are saying Eton stinks. It'll never go anywhere. I don't know about that, but it makes sense what you're saying. The market potential.
Yeah, so it's
really
all
there.
about. And guys, the reason I tell you guys why BCRX is such a special is because they're rare diseases. The rare disease is moolah. They pay a lot of money. I don't like to invest in PDUFAs for like antibiotics or for, contraceptive. Let's look at EVFM, for example. I mean, people on Twitter wanted me to invest in this company when it was in the threes, but they have, a gel, concert with non-hormonal gel but it's not rare disease, you know what I mean? And then they're being spending so much money advertising like they are like Gilead or Merck or BMS. So the burn rate is like 40 million a quarter for $2.2 million in sales, So that's will be another criteria for me. I wanted to invest in companies that have unmet needs. Like ARDX is not a rare disease, but it's a different mechanism of action than the phosphate binders, and you're gonna need a lot more pills. You're gonna look a lot of less pills. It's you needed 64 pills a week for those phosphate binders when you are doing dialysis. ARDX, you're only gonna need 14 pills a week. That's a huge difference. That's an unmet need. So that's why I would invest in Eton, for example. It's not a rare disease, and it's not a compelled disease that has an unmet need. So if that makes all sense.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense.
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, folks, someone's spamming ATNX or ANTX. Sorry.
Which one?
ANTX. No need to spam it, but let's take a look before we go.
Okay.
Maybe you meant ATNX. I don't think is there an ANTX?
What does it say?
Nothing really came up but we have ATNX. That's a thing.
Okay, yeah. So out of all the companies I gave you guys, that's one company I took a $20,000 loss. I was really, really hopeful. There were studies because it was a breakthrough therapy. They had a cancer drug that was going to be orally versus an IV, and for COVID times would have been perfect, right? So the FDA, and another thing too, the Perceptive Advisors, they don't make bad gambles, and they own $13 million shares at 11. That's how I bought it. They just got a second wind. They are they acquire a company that has a broad pipeline. So long term, this would be fine, but my whole purpose is, what do you do if you buy a stock for $11 and the stock goes to $5? Do you hold in your account, or you take that money and make the money grow someplace else that you know is going to move? So that's my perception. I don't like to hold the stocks that are like 70% down if I can take my loss and go put on a stock that I know it's going to make up my difference. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong
I
with
would do
holding
the same.
long term, but it's like, how long is going to take? Somebody was asking me, go to OCGN. That would be my last one. Somebody was asking me, I know he took a $200,000 loss, and luckily he made it up out with the KMPH. But OCGN just got the no from the FDA for an emergency authorization use for their COVID vaccine. And somebody was asking me like, oh, what would you do? Do I take the $200,000 loss? And I'm like, you do, because they have to do a whole new study that's going to take a couple of years because the FDA did not give them an emergency authorization. So now they have to do a whole new trial, and that's going to take years. And think about it, if you have $100,000 and you lost 200, that $100,000 you can put it, for example, now and BCRX, and in 3 years you get your money, in 2 years you get your money back, or even before ARDX with the PDUFA. So I don't like to hold, if it's bad news, guys, I don't care if it's going to be a blockbuster in 2 years. I'd rather take my money someplace else. So that's unless it's BCRX, because it's a steady climb. And the reason, I'll tell you guys, for me, BCRX is capital preservation. Because let's assume you guys make 100,000 day trading, right? You don't put that same. Let's assume you have a $300,000 in the bank. You don't put 300,000 every single trade, because you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble, right? If you have a bad trade. So you want to put 200,000 aside to a long-term investment. So what I'll do is every time I make money, I put aside to BCRX, because for me, it's a way for me to preserve my capital, and a way to me, I know that in 3 to 4 years, it'll be $100 stock. So that's my strategy. I don't, you got to put your money someplace else. You don't use all your capital to swing trader to trade, or you're going to lose your money. So you got to preserve capital somehow. That would be my last tip.
There we go, folks. All right, Vivi. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And
it's nice to see you guys. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Or we have some kind of a crazy show, or am I on?
No, next Tuesday you're all good.
Okay, cool.
So, all
cool.
right.
I'll see you guys on Tuesday. You guys have a great weekend.
All right. Bye, Vivi, and bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right.